So, one of the toughest things for me to talk about is my spiritual experiences. And it's for no other reason than I have a deep fear of looking batshit crazy. But they've literally been the hallmark of my life. For example, there was literally a point in time where me and my mother were at each other's throats. So much so, where I packed my narrow behind up and moved to New York and away from Georgia because I was just fed the fuck up. And things were okay for a little bit up there until they began to slowly fall apart. And I felt like I was being called to move back to Georgia, but I was ignoring the fuck out of it. Because at that time, that would mean having to go back and live with my mom. And I wasn't having it. So much so that I was willing to stay in a situation where I had no heat, nothing to eat, and no job prospects either. But I was willing to stay in that environment than to deal with the conflict that came with living with my mother at the time. But the end of that time came around the time that I passed out at the subway station. You know, because when you don't eat for a while, eventually you're going to pass out somewhere. And coming out that hospital, which in itself was a magical experience that one of these days I'm going to tell y'all about. And by magical, I mean like something straight out of the mind of Monty Python. Or Donald Glover before he went full absurdist. But I doubled down on my plan to remain in New York. Luckily, my mom had finessed someone to let me stay with them for a little bit, at least until I got back on my feet. And with a belly full of food, a warm bed to sleep in, and comfort for what would probably be one of the most turbulent, but not the last most turbulent time of my life, I had the craziest experience ever. It was about 4:30 in the morning, close to 5. And it felt like getting a spiritual FaceTime is the best way that I could describe it. Because I saw whatever this entity's name was before I heard it speak. It introduced itself, told me to call him Gabriel, because his real name was too hard to pronounce, at least for human tongues. And then sat and talked with me for about 30 minutes on why I should move to Georgia. Told me my family members down there, which at the time mainly consisted of my younger brother, needed me. And that was like the only thing that cracked through my stubbornness. But the crazy part about it is, I had to double back and to explain to the people who were supposed to be helping me move forward, at least that was the plan, that the only reason I was moving back to Georgia was because an angel sat down and talked with me at 5 o'clock in the morning. I said it, because I don't like lying if I don't have to. But the whole time I was thinking, these motherfuckers gonna think I'm crazy. So why am I sharing this now? Because I can't hope to be an effective comedian unless I'm able to talk about these experiences. Personal stories are what people connect with.